Have you ever met someone and felt completely consumed by them? You check your phone constantly. You replay every interaction in your mind. You imagine a future together before you've even had a real conversation. It feels intense. It feels exciting. It feels like love. But what if it isn't? What if what you're experiencing is something entirely different? Psychologists call it limerence. And while limerence and love can feel similar on the surface, they are fundamentally different experiences. Understanding the difference might completely change the way you think about relationships, attraction, and even yourself. The term limerence was coined by psychologist Dorothy Tennov in the 1970s. She used it to describe an intense state of romantic obsession. Limerence is characterized by intrusive thoughts about another person, a desperate desire for their affection, and an emotional dependence on their responses. If they text you back, you're euphoric. If they don't, your mood crashes. Your emotional state becomes tied to their behavior. The key thing about limerence is that it isn't really about knowing someone. It's about longing for them. The limerent mind fills in the blanks. It creates fantasies. It imagines possibilities. And often, it becomes attached to an idealized version of a person rather than who they truly are. In many ways, limerence thrives on uncertainty. The less you know, the more your imagination can take over. Love is very different. While love can begin with attraction, it grows through understanding. Love develops as two people reveal who they really are. Their strengths, their flaws, their fears, their insecurities. And despite seeing all of that, they continue choosing each other. Love isn't dependent on constant emotional highs. It doesn't require obsession. In fact, genuine love often becomes quieter over time. Less dramatic, more stable. Love says, I see you. Limerence says, I imagine you. Love is rooted in reality. Limerence is rooted in possibility. Interestingly, philosophers have been discussing this distinction long before psychologists gave it a name. Take the philosopher Plato. In his work, The Symposium, love is often described as a desire for something we lack. We pursue beauty because we feel incomplete without it. At first glance, this sounds a lot like limerence. The limerent person feels that happiness exists somewhere outside themselves, embodied in another person. If I can just have them, everything will be okay. But Plato believed mature love should evolve beyond simple desire. Instead of obsessing over a single person, he argued that love should lead us toward wisdom, growth, and a deeper understanding of life itself. In other words, love should expand us, not consume us. Another philosopher, Schopenhauer, had a much darker view. He believed romantic passion often tricks people into believing they've found something extraordinary. According to him, much of what we call love is actually desire wearing a mask. While Schopenhauer's perspective may seem cynical, he raises an important point. How often do we fall for who someone is versus who we think they are? Limerence depends on idealization. You focus on their best qualities. You ignore contradictions. You create a perfect image. The less access you have to reality, the easier this becomes. Love, on the other hand, survives reality. In fact, reality strengthens it. The more you learn about someone, the more your feelings deepen. Not because they are perfect, but because they are real. If limerence isn't love, why does it feel so intense? The answer lies partly in psychology. Human beings are wired to seek rewards. And intermittent rewards are especially powerful. Think about gambling. People become addicted not because they win every time, but because they win occasionally. The uncertainty keeps them hooked. Limerence works in a similar way. A message, a smile, a compliment, a moment of attention. Each small interaction becomes emotionally significant. Your brain starts chasing the next reward. This creates a cycle that feels exciting, but can quickly become exhausting. Love doesn't rely on uncertainty. Love thrives on security. The limerent mind craves signs. The loving mind builds trust. Perhaps the biggest philosophical difference between love and limerence is freedom. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre argued that authentic relationships require recognizing another person's freedom. They are not an object. They are not a fantasy. They are a separate human being with their own thoughts, desires, and choices. Limerence struggles with this because the limerent person often becomes focused on obtaining affection from the other person. Their happiness depends on a specific outcome. Love is different. Love allows freedom. It says, I care about you, even though I cannot control you. True love respects the other person's individuality. Limerence often becomes trapped in wanting possession, certainty, or validation. So how can you tell the difference? Ask yourself one question. Do I love who this person actually is? Or am I in love with the story I've created about them? Limerence feeds on fantasy. Love grows through reality. Limerence is fueled by uncertainty. Love is strengthened by trust. Limerence asks, how can I make them choose me? Love asks, how can I care for this person? And perhaps the most important difference is this. Limerence is about what someone gives you emotionally. Love is about who someone is. The truth is that many relationships begin with limerence. The butterflies, the obsession, the excitement. There's nothing unusual about that. But lasting love begins when the fantasy ends, when the pedestal disappears, when two imperfect people finally see each other clearly and decide to stay anyway. That may not sound as dramatic as limerence, but it might be something far more meaningful. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced limerence, and did you mistake it for love? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.